The Chaser Report is recorded on Gadigal land.
Striving for mediocrity in a world of excellence. This is the Chaser Report.
Hello and welcome to the Chaser Report with Dom and Charles.
Now, Charles, one of the great delights of my years presenting the evening show on ABC Radio Sydney and across New South Wales and the ACT was the Macquarie Dictionary Word of the Year shortlist. It was just fabulous content for end of year, light-hearted, bit of a chat, and I used to get a solid half hour or more of quality radio out of it, talking to the former editor, Sue Butler. My mum used to work for Macquarie Dictionary too as well, so there's a long family tradition in looking at the words of the year, but I've never done it before on the Chaser Report with considerably less respect.
Yeah, so we don't have to stick to sort of light-hearted, slightly mediocre banter.
We can attack the list is what I'm saying. Which is something
great.
I couldn't do before. Let's crack into it after this. Shall we start with the word of the year or work up to it? Because people will have read what it is.
Oh, no, we've got to work up to it.
Oh, okay.
You can't.
You don't know what it is. It's a complete mystery.
We got the suspense going. Is it in shitification?
It's not in shitification. So they've shitified the word. However, I will say this. The word of the year was featured very prominently on this podcast months ago in an interview with culture specialist Ange Lavoipierre. So if people heard that episode, you'll know what it is.
I didn't listen to that.
No, you didn't listen to it. But nevertheless, it was impressive to see how on the pulse she was, or alternatively, how kind of middle-aged and boring and Macquarie Dictionary
well,
her selection was.
She does do a podcast called Schmeitgeist, which suggests that she should be up on the Zeitgeist.
In theory.
Yes.
Anyway, so we'll get to that. So the first word on the shortlist, this is all alphabetical, algo speak, Charles, which is most episodes of the podcast.
Okay, should we do it where I have to guess what it means?
Yep, algo speak. What is algo speak?
Well, I presume it's some sort of like algae that has learnt to speak because of the drought in the Murray-Darling Basin.
That is correct, and it has a show on Sky News. It's one of the most credible presenters that they have. No, it's not. It's not that.
It's scum. It's scum of the
It's literal scum.
Yeah.
It's literal scum from a pod.
No,
one of the better presenters on Sky News right now.
Okay, algo speak. It's obviously algorithm. So, is it when you try and optimize what you're saying to suit the algorithm so you get viral content?
So that's what you would do. But no, it's actually the opposite. It's a way around moderation algorithms. So instead of saying sex, you say segs, S-E-G-G-S.
Oh, yes, I've
Instead
seen
of
that.
saying dead or kill, you say unalive. And this is particularly useful in China. You might remember that Winnie the Pooh was used to refer to Xi Jinping and so on. So yes, it's a way of getting around moderation algorithms.
It's like on Reddit, they don't say the R word. They say, I'm well regarded.
Do they?
Yeah, when they're wanting to insult themselves.
Yeah, it's like if you don't say Dutton, you say Lord Potato.
Well, yeah, you say roasted potato. Or,
something like that. Anyway.
Mashed potato.
Okay, so that's algo speak.
Okay.
The next one is angry water.
Ooh, okay. Well, I presume this is also related to the Murray-Darling Basin.
Quite possibly. The government just bought back a whole lot of angry water.
Is it the water that Barnaby Joyce consumes after a night out and the water becomes very angry about having to interact with all the horrible beer that he's had?
I'm just imagining that, water that makes you angry would be beer, wouldn't it?
I'm so angry, I'm going to drink this water.
No, it's carbonated water. So it's fizzy water.
Right.
And the water gets angry when it gets fizzy because it's, shakes around.
So
much less interesting than your definition.
Is it particularly carbonated or just any carbonated?
Just any carbonated water.
Oh, well, I suppose it's interesting.
I imagine it's a cute thing that a kid said or something like that and people thought it was funny.
Oh, that's so angry, that water.
So far, your definitions are better than the ones that they've given.
Yes.
All right. And the next one we've discussed on the podcast as well.
I've always said I should write a dictionary, Dom.
You should. The next one is something we've discussed on the podcast before because if you listen to this podcast, you're in touch with all that is happening in the world.
Yes.
It is Bazball.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Have you forgotten what Bazball is? Have you seriously forgotten what Bazball is?
Bazball.
An exhausted man
I remember.
touring the country for the war in 2023.
War2023.com.
Forgotten one of the major stories of the year.
Yeah, no, Bazball is the English team doing that stupid thing where they lost every game because they thought that Test cricket was the same as T20.
The thing where basically they tried to play like Australia normally does.
Yes.
Although Australia adapts its playing style to suit the conditions.
Yes.
And
they
England
didn't.
just goes hard regardless.
And what it meant was you could predict exactly what England would do, which is smash the ball. So you could set the field knowing that they were going to do that.
Yeah, so in other words, it says here it's an aggressive style of play, especially at the batting side, named after Brendan Barry McCullum, who trained England to play in this manner. But it should actually be a strategy that will lose the Ashes. That's what it should be defined as.
And Nick Bryant, friend of the show,
Yeah.
wrote a fantastic article in, I think, the Herald or the Guardian or something, about how Bazball was very similar to Brexit, right? In that it was sort of like, oh, yeah, like the British the English showed everyone what was up and, it's really good, except they lost. They lost, but they sort of acted as if they'd won.
Yes, it was a triumphant act of massive self-harm.
Yes, that's right.
That's
yes.
right. Okay. Blue sky flood.
A blue sky flood is related to the Murray-Darling.
It could be, actually.
Yeah, okay. Well, I presume it's some sort of... Is it a climate change thing where you...
Sorry, you get the theory out.
Well, I'm thinking blue sky flood, is that like an endless flood? Like something that we've,
Oh, like a sort of blue sky idea, like a crypto flood or something like that.
Yeah.
No, all it means is that basically what happened is in our climate change fueled system, it is very heavy rainfall, and the catchment gets saturated. The water makes its way into the rivers, and then flooding happens after the sky's blue again. So basically, it's just the observation that flooding can happen long after the actual storm.
Yeah,
which is absolutely true. On the Murrumbidgee River not long ago, lots of flooding, even though the storm had long passed. So this is just normal actually in much of Australia.
Yeah, right.
That's blue sky flooding. What about BOPO?
Yeah, I did see BOPO. I had no idea what it was. It'll be a contraction of two words.
Yes,
so I'm thinking
like POMO.
It'll be like Bohemian postmodernist.
Bohemian postmodernist. Are you a Bohemian postmodernist? Is that how you see yourself?
Oh, yeah. I'm very Bohemian.
BOPO is body positivity.
Oh, right. Oh, okay. Rightio. Oh, that's
Looking
good.
in the mirror and being like,
Yeah,
all right.
I'm a bit of a thing.
Oh, I'm not BOPO.
Yeah,
Not
no.
BOPO. No, but I don't think it's about oneself.
You're no BOPO.
No BOPO. I think it actually means just in general, not body shaming. It's the opposite. The opposite of basically the whole of the media.
Well, I believe in BOPO then. That's good. Yeah. I'm a BOPO.
When I decided not to do anything about balding and not have Rogaine or any of the other shit you can put on your hair to stop it, that was me being body positive and just going, fuck it.
I love how BOPO is used to describe just genuinely negative things about your own body.
I'm positive about how much I hate my body. All right, coming on here. Bore out.
Oh, that's a great word.
That's good.
Look, you don't even need a definition. Like, that's what this podcast is. The total bore out.
So it's a combination of bore and burnout, and it's basically when you stop giving a shit about your work, you're not interested in it anymore, and you just kind of slowly fade away. Yeah. It possibly then leads to quiet quitting eventually.
Yeah, right,
okay. What about a bridesmaid suburb?
That is... Oh, I know what that is. That's like Forest Lodge is to Glebe, which is a Sydney reference, but like it's a suburb that stands next to a good suburb and sort of gets some of the association without actually being, known as a good suburb.
Kind of, yeah. It's kind of like Adelaide compared to Melbourne.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so no, it's a suburb that surrounds the most expensive or sought after suburb. It's from the, always the bridesmaid, never the bride kind of thing. It's kind of like just next to and not as important as. Yeah.
It's like...
It's like when you see The War in 2023, you get to see that guy from The Shovel and then Charles next to him. James Scheffel, very talented comedian.
Yeah, he's very good.
Australia's best satirist.
I think, judging by the amount of applause, the brides of the show are Gabby and Mark, and James and I are the bridesmaids.
Yeah.
And I'm the bridesmaid's bridemaid.
Yeah. Well, in many ways, you're probably the bridesmaid, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, but I mean, you can't compare with all those years of Mark Humphries confirming people's sort of prejudices on the ABC. I mean, that's...
No, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. People turn up and all the 80-year-olds are in love with Mark.
Of course they are.
Yeah.
And that's the way it should be.
The Chaser Report. News you can't trust.
Okay, coming up next, we have Cozzy Lives.
Cozzy lives. Well, that'll be. I presume that's to do with your togs, like your swimmers. Is that Cozzy? Like
Cozzy living in
Cozzy-
your Cozzies.
Yeah, living. In, oh, yeah. So yeah,
Cozzy
No?
lives. It's I actually love this one. It's cost of living, but said in such a way that it's kind of cool and hip, even though it's awful. So it's kind of like
Yeah.
mockingly talking about something terrible as though it's affectionately.
Yeah, so it's like I was down at the supermarket and I couldn't buy a roast chicken because of Cozzy lives.
Yeah,
Is that-
it's a bit like, you know how lockdown was called Locky D, as though it was like
Lucky
this
D.
cool
Yeah,
thing?
okay, yeah. Oh, good.
it's kind of
that's
ironic.
Nice. Yeah, I'm a little bit disturbed by how few. I always think of myself as a bit finger on the pulse, hip to the groove. I think I've got 0 correct so far. haven't
Yeah,
I?
I thought you weren't trying. Oh, what about a crash blossom? This one you've got to know because it's
Okay.
not intuitive. Crash blossom.
Okay, I know this. This is when, you know how old people sometimes have the name, Blossom or Petal or, like they actually have quite sort of, ancient names. This is when one of them crashes into a supermarket because they're not very
You're
good
not
at driving.
even trying. Yeah, this is related to the terrible 1990s TV show Blossom.
What?
No, it's not at all. It's the phenomenon which we've always enjoyed at the Chaser, where a news headline or something like that is ambiguous because of poor writing. So it's from this great headline from a newspaper called Japan Today in 2009. A violinist linked to JAO crash blossoms.
Say that again.
So
Airline linked to
so
JAL.
violinist linked to JAL crash blossoms. So it's
Right,
a crash
I see.
blossom. See how
Yeah,
it can
it's
have-
yeah. So what it's saying is this violinist has become really good, and she was linked to JA airline crash.
yeah, and she was responsible for the crash. It's the other way of reading it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Right.
All right. Well, you might know this one, Charles.
Yeah.
What about a doof stick? A
Oh,
doof stick.
doof stick's easy.
What's a doof stick?
Is it a cigarette?
Do you know what a doof is?
Doof is like dancing.
Yeah. See, that's a '90s term. That's from when we were young. The
yeah,
doof.
yeah.
They still call them doofs.
So a doof stick is what, a dance stick? Well, it doesn't mean what?
It's a strange idea. It's when you go to a music festival or a doof or something, you bring a long stick with like a flag on it or like a colour, or so your friends can find you.
Okay.
Yeah. So you just look for the doof stick.
Okay.
I'll have the doof stick with the Chaser logo. Yeah, it's something like
Yeah,
that.
I think
I can't imagine this is widely used.
I don't think
I feel old.
anyone goes to doofs anymore. If you go to a doof, contact us.
You wanna be invited?
Podcast at chaser.com.au. Yeah, invite us along.
You know that there's such a thing
We'll
as
bring the stick.
there's a bush doof.
Yeah,
where
there
you go
is
to
a-
a remote property or whatever. And
Oh, my
the speakers
neighbour,
there?
my sort of neighbour who's, quite young, goes to doofs.
there you go.
All the time.
Probably with a doof stick.
Yeah.
Just say, next time you see the neighbour, just be like,
Yeah.
you got a doof stick.
Or I'll give him a doof stick for Christmas.
That should be a Chaser merch product.
Doof stick.
Okay. Now, this is the sort of thing you like, Charles. What about this? Debt trap diplomacy.
Oh, well, that's easy. That's exactly what China has been engaging in, but IMF pioneered it in the World Bank, which is you load up your neighbours and your allies with a whole lot of debt, and then you can control them.
That's it. Yep. Belton Road.
Yep,
Which
Belton
the
Road.
belt actually holds you down. Like they were very
Yes,
upfront
yeah.
about what it did.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what.
And China's been getting really annoyed at the West because instead of, they thought, oh, well, they'll be in a debt trap for years. We'll just be able to control it, especially these African nations that have lots
and
of
the
resources.
Pacific Islands and all that.
And instead, the IMF's coming in and going, oh, well, we'll help you refinance your debt using IMF.
Then you owe
on-
us money instead.
Yeah, and you can be beholden to us.
Okay. What about this? This actually, I think, applies to you, Charles. The doorway effect.
Ah, yes, this is when you're very good looking, and when you go through a door, everyone goes, oh, he's so good looking.
It's worth noting even Charles doesn't take that seriously. I never heard of this. This is a psychological phenomenon in which your short-term memory is disrupted when you cross some sort of boundary. So you go into from one room to another,
yes,
and you just forget what you were doing.
Yes, you walk into a room, you go, why was I walking into this room? Yes.
That happens all the time.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's also known as early onset dementia.
Yeah, or just
Dementia.
middle age.
Yeah.
Let's finish this. We'll do a volume 2 of this tomorrow, Charles, because this is so important.
Oh, right,
that we
yeah.
can-
It's we're not that far along.
No.
How many words are
We're
there?
halfway through the list. It's just
Okay.
very
Yeah, okay.
very weighted to the first half of the alphabet.
Yeah.
And we'll finish with, I think, your favourite word. Or I mean, we always have this argument about whether a phrase is a word, but they say yes, it is.
Right. Oh,
So
yeah,
otherwise,
yeah,
none of these words are new. Like there's very few of them. Cozzy lives maybe, but the rest of them are all
Yeah.
just new combinations of words to mean an idea. Generative AI.
Oh, well, that's easy. Yeah. Generative AI.
See any other episode of this podcast.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, is the process of capital using technology to steal the work of humans.
Yeah, steal the work of humans and repackage it in a much shitter version.
Yeah, that's right.
That's it. And
It's a bit like Rove.
All right, we'll have more of this tomorrow. I hope you enjoyed this tour through the words of 2023. Charles is, I think, one from about 12.
Maybe we should do
Or 2 from 12.
some more ABC local radio content.
We should.
Yeah.
Yes. And if you can see any traffic on the roads, just email podcast@chaser.com.au and we'll put it in the traffic report in a future episode.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Good idea, isn't it?
Yeah.
And they can even text you.
Yeah, see, most podcasts don't have traffic reports.
They don't, but now we do.